y'all. Thanks for stopping by the Obviously Authentic channel. My name's Leah. That's spelled L-E-A and not L-E-A-H. So we're going to be talking about episode 2 of Married to Medicine. And I don't know what season this is, but you definitely will know once I put the title below. But it picks up where it left off. And I know I saw a lot of people were like annoyed with Toya's little drunk antics, but I found them to be hilarious. Even though she was out of order, I found her to be hilarious in my opinion. Like when she said, "Can I get a cupcake?" And if you see me laying down, it's notes. I'm just trying to hit certain points. I cackled. I ain't gonna lie. She's like, "Can I get a cupcake?" I said, "How you gonna argue with someone and it be like, 'Can I get a cupcake?'" I said, "Oh, it's time to go home, Toya. It's time to go home." And the only thing I didn't like the most, like I thought she was out of pocket for excuse me, y'all, for coming at the ladies. But I was just like, she drunk, it's whatever. But I didn't like that she brung her drunk, aggressive energy to the guy's side. Because the dudes was chilling. And Curtis was like, why you yelling at us? What we do to you? I was like, yeah, Curtis, I'm with that. What we do to you? And she was just like, she was on one. But I did find it to be funny. But sis was on one. Then we cut back over to the, well, I was happy that Eugene actually like got Toya to get up. So we later found out that like they walked around, I guess, for a minute and then went and sat in the car or waited for the party bus to pull up that they all arrived in. So she just left Anila sitting there, and Anila just looking like, sipping on her drink like, y'all want some? I was just like, I was like, oh, that's messed up, Toya. But I will say I took a lot from this episode, like not an episode, but from this scene, to where I really do sympathize with like everybody that is involved in it, because I think each person made a mistake, and rather than correcting it when it first happened, they made it worse by waiting it out and letting it fester instead of really dealing with the issue. So Simone says, you know what, you're right. I should have called you and said we're okay, and I should have reached out more. But then she was saying that to Heavenly. Then she turned to Jackie and basically said that she was hurt at the fact that Jackie told her at the reunion that her relationship with Simone was basically equivalent to what she had with Heavenly. And I don't think Dr. Jackie meant it like to be shady or malicious or to hurt Simone, but it hurt Simone. And I get why it hurt Simone, because later on we end up finding out that like they said, they've been through, you know, we remember Simone's dad went missing and unfortunately he died and they found his body. Dr. Jackie had to write write on her father's certificate, do not resuscitate. Then they both had marital issues. And they worked together. I think Simone felt like Dr. Jackie was her sister. And I get where she's coming from. Because in the medical field, it's not so many of us. It's like when you meet somebody that's in the same field and y'all kind of like link, or y'all just get it. Y'all click with each other. You hold on to that person for dear life, because you know that you might not ever find this like someone else that looks like you in this field. And I think she was just hurt. She was genuinely hurt that she was like, so you're saying that like our relationship is the same as this relationship that you just created that I had to help you with to smooth things over. I think that's what really like hurt her, because I really do think Simone sees Jackie as her sister. So then Simone directs her energy towards Heavenly. And they start talking, and Simone basically said, it hurt that you guys so nasty with my husband off rip. And then Heavenly gets mad because she's like, well, he came at me, so I'm not supposed to respond. And Simone said, no, you can respond, but I didn't think you would go like that. And Dr. Heavenly is the type of person that like, if you punch them in the face, they gonna stab you to death. that's just her, like, that's her gut reaction. And I know a lot of people are over that whole situation with her and Simone because they think Heavenly, like a lot of my favorite reviewers are siding with Heavenly, but I see both sides. Like, if we're friends, there's a certain way you're supposed to argue. Just like when you're married, there's a certain way you're supposed to argue. You're not supposed to go so in off rip. Like, that is supposed to be like your last resort to back somebody off of you. But Heavenly's first resort is to hit you in the gut. Like, that's her thing. And sometimes it's needed and sometimes it's overkill. Like, it really is. But I didn't like how, because when I say it's overkill, it's like, I didn't get why when they were arguing, Heavenly called Simone a bitch, I think 1 or 2 times. And then she called her dirty ass. And I was like, why did you go that far? And then the thing is, like, Simone not afraid of you. So Simone is going to yell and give you just as much the same energy because she got right in her face too. And that's kind of why I like this group, because it's not like anybody is being picked on. Like, the women are very, like, outspoken and they say what it is and mean what they say. So I like them for that reason. That's why I enjoy this show, because it's not like somebody is portrayed as weak or anything. It's like they all really have, like, they all can stand on their own with each other. They don't really need backup per se. That's why I like that's where I'm coming from, y'all. Do you get what I'm saying? I hope you do, because I kind of got tongue tied there, but I really do hope you get what I was saying. So I think what happened, why it got so heated is, like, Simone got defensive, Heavenly got defensive. Dr. Damon had to get Heavenly together and be like, girl, like, it's not that serious. Like, chill out. Like, what y'all going through is not that serious when you think about the scope of what's going on in the world with the virus, with the protests, with our government. Like, it is not that serious. Like, you can forgive her. And I think all the men are pretty much there. Like, even Cecil was like, we should be forgiving each other. Like, with everything's going on. He basically said the same thing that Damon said. And even Eugene said the same thing. So it's kind of like, can we get along? But I think Simone felt ganged upon. Because when she walked over there, because she was crying, even Anila, although I was annoyed by Anila and her husband, but her husband really didn't do that. He didn't say nothing. But Anila was annoying because she was hugging all up on Simone. But Simone, I guess at that time, needed that comfort because Toya left her. So she felt like it was 3 against 1. So Heavenly, Contessa, and Jackie up against her. So I did laugh when Simone and them got back to the car, and and Toya was like, why are you crying? Who I got to beat up? I said, shut up, Toya, with your drunk self. But that's how the night ended. Everybody decided to leave. Dr. Scott was over. He was like, we always fight when we get together. But it seems like the men really want the ladies just to come together and fix it and smooth it over. So now we're going to do person by person because I feel like it's easier that way. So let's talk about Toya and Eugene. So, and if you see me looking down, it's notes. So Toya and Eugene. So we know a lot of the protests, happened in Georgia, basically because of Black Lives Matter. Well, the school that Toya and Eugene's kids were staying at, they were basically the only Black kids there. Toya said you could count all the little brown kids on one hand, and that it was including like the staff. So that basically probably tells me it was probably maybe 1 or 2 Black teachers or minority teachers, and then the other 3 were students. Was her 2 boys and 1 other little person. And so she decided to take her kids out of the school and move them to a more diverse school, which I think is a wonderful thing. Like, I grew up in an area where it was pretty much mixed. Like, there was an evil amount of white kids, Black kids, Latin kids, Hispanic kids, Asian kids, Middle Eastern kids, African immigrants. Who else? We had a lot of like first generation, and a lot of first generation, second and third generation African kids and Asian kids and Middle Eastern kids all at my school. So I learned a lot about different cultures, and I think that's important because it it allowed me to like see life through a different lens and understand people culturally, just like they got the ability to understand Black American culture differently. So I'm glad that she's taking them out. Although I cannot believe they about to pay $25,000 for them little kids to go to elementary school. That's out of pocket. And I don't know what kind of like, maybe y'all public school system in Georgia is crap, but up in Northern Virginia, where I'm from, ours is pretty decent. Like, I mean, it ain't the greatest, but it's decent. Like, the school I went to was an engineering school. So, like, we had an engineering and robotics program. But there were other schools that had dedicated things. Like, there was one school that was mainly for culinary. We had a music art school. We also had a school that was dedicated to farming. Like, they actually had a farm. So, like, we had schools dedicated for certain things. So, like, they weren't, I don't know. That's just, that's tuition to college, bruh. I hope she working Eugene to the death. Like, Toya need to get a job. I don't care. Like, Toya needs to get a job. If we paying $25,000 for your kids to go to elementary school, Toya needs to get a job at this point. Cause I don't know how much a emergency physician's salary is, but good God, yeah, good God. But I'm glad she decided to move her kids and put them in a better school environment, because that will help them learn better. Then we have Dr. Heavenly. We actually get to see Funky Dineva, aka Quentin. And like basically he was getting his teeth filled in. So he had like several teeth missing on the side, and Dr. Heavenly actually put in new caps. And I think she also put in she put in new caps in that area and filled them in. And his teeth look great. That's one thing I can say about Dr. Heavenly. Dr. Heavenly does a wonderful job when it comes to her dentistry. Like, although Dr. Heavenly, she presses my buttons sometimes, but I genuinely enjoy how well she, like, her bedside manner with her clients and how well she does what she does. It was crazy to me that she was like out of work for 2 months because of all of this. But now with like they show that she's all the way, like, she got bookings because, you know, people trying to get their teeth looked at and stuff like that. But I was definitely glad that they showed all the work that goes into them making sure that the public is safe and that her staff and herself are safe, with them spraying down the sterile solution and telling them that, like, you got to mouthwash with iodine. So, like, I'm glad we got to see that. We also got to see Alora. She is such a beautiful girl. Like, I can't believe we saw her grow. Like, we're seeing her grow up. Like, she's only 15, but she has one of the cutest smiles I've ever seen. I like that I think she's the perfect mix of Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Damon. Like, she's very chill. Like, she seems very chill and, like, calm like her dad. But we know that Alora can give you that fire that Dr. Heavenly has. But I'm just glad we got to see her with all that hair, just looking like, she's just so cute to me. But that was cool. Then we'll hop over to Contessa. So Contessa and Sky are opening up a practice. We all know that they had issues last year. He was struggling being a stay-at-home, well, not even a stay-at-home dad, being a doctor, like basically being a single parent while she was at Meharry, which is a HBCU in Tennessee. I actually got a friend that goes to school there. She's getting her PhD. Shout out to you if you know who I'm talking about. She's getting her PhD there. And like I said, it's a HBCU. So she got it. Although I think she switched up her major, because at first she said public health, but then she switched it. She got her master's in addiction medicine, which I think is very important, because people are now understanding that addiction is a disease. So I think that's wonderful. You know, she's going to be out here helping the community. But her and Scott are deciding to open a practice together. They're still having marital issues. I guess Contessa is just very upset about Scott not supporting her doing, trying to get her goal. I think she feels like she shows more love to Scott, my bad, y'all, than he shows to her. But I don't think that's the case. Honestly, if I'm being really honest, I really don't like Contessa. Like, I could take or leave her, but like some things she does, I just think she's very pretentious at times. But Last season, I saw that situation a lot differently. I think she was nitpicking at Scott, in my opinion, because every time she would come home last season, it was like, you're doing this wrong, and you're doing this wrong, and you're doing this wrong. You should do this. And I think that was her retaliation to him not supporting her, which I totally understand. But in my opinion, it's like, you're a doctor, but you also have 3 children. Going to get your master's while your kids are still in the development age, and it's not like you, to me, she could have did her master's in Georgia. I feel like she complicated things going to Meharry. And I'm not saying Meharry is a bad school or like she shouldn't shoot for her dreams and that's where she wanted to go. But when you have kids, you're supposed to make concessions for your kids. And in my opinion, she should have did what was right for her family. And I think she should have still continued to get her degree, because if that's what she wanted to do, she has every right to do that. But I think she could have went to a school in Georgia closer, because we saw that her kids were having a hard time with it. And I'm with Scott. Why would you uproot your family just for you to do a 2-year program and then y'all are coming back to Georgia? That to me is stupid. And also, I'm not driving every weekend on the weekend to go up to Tennessee with my kids. Like, I'm not doing that. So to me, a lot of their relationship could not have been strained if she would have decided to pick a school in her area. Cause I know some people are probably gonna be like, well, Leah, she should go where she wants to go, and she should. But it's also like, you're not a single woman. You're not by yourself anymore. You decided to get married, and you also decided to have 3 children. Yes, I think Scott should have been supportive. Like when she decided to go to Tennessee, he should have been supportive. Like he should have been helping. Like my mom ended up getting her master's, or like with her second master's, and my dad helped my mom with that. Like he was helping her reread papers. He was also rereading her papers to help her like find any grammatical errors. So he should have been a team player. But I can't negate the fact that I feel like Contessa does so much. Like every season we see her, she switches what she wants to do. So I don't know. I feel like she's not consistent in what she wants in her life or what she wants from Scott, in my opinion. Because that one season she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and Scott was like, okay, I'm down with that. Then the other season she said no, she wanted to go back to work. He was down with that. When she went to get her master's, I just think at that point he was just like, girl, what you doing? And I would be the same way. I do think he should have supported her, and that's his fault for not doing that. He should have stepped up to the plate, and he should have tried his best to make the transition for his kids and for her easy. But people are human and everybody makes mistakes. So I hope they can figure it out, because it does seem like they really care for each other. But they definitely needed to go to counseling. They should have not stopped going to counseling. Like for Scott to be like, I didn't think we needed to continue. I just think we needed to talk more. And that's true. You need to communicate more. But if you don't do it in a healthy way, you end up exacerbating the situation. And that's basically what happened between them. Like they were beating a dead horse, going around in circles. And they were communicating more, but they weren't communicating in the right way. And had they stayed in counseling, the counselor probably would have gave them the right tools in order to speak to each other and have effective communication. Because you could communicate all day. That doesn't mean it's effective. But they said they're going to work on us because they're opening up a practice. I hope we get to see it at the end of the, throughout the season. I really do hope we get to see it, because it looks like it's going to be a really nice and beautiful space. And it also looks like it's closer to their home. So I think that works well for like them and their kids. So now let's move on to the new couple. So it's Dr. Kieran and Anila. So we end up finding out that Dr. Kieran is an ocular plastic surgeon, not just an ocular surgeon. Because they showed us I don't want to say, was it a flashback? It could be a flashback of him working with someone who had like stitches over their eyelids. So maybe he like cut their eyelids down or something like that. Or he does reconstructive surgery around the ocular area. But he seems sweet. He seems like a really nice guy. We finally find out that Anila is Indian. Her and Dr. Kieran met 7 years ago. They have 2 kids. Their youngest son is cute as a button. I think his name is Ivar or Avaro or Avar. And then they have the cute little daughter, but the little son is too cute. He's 5, and I think the little girl is 7. They have a nanny. Her name is Mrs. Gomez. And we end up finding out, I think she's like Anila's like assistant too, because they showed her taking pictures of Anila, but we find out Anila is basically like a fashion blogger on Instagram. And you know, she's getting her PR, and Instagram can be lucrative if you do it the right way. So I guess she's figured out how to do it the right way. And like she said, she has a niche. She's an Indian woman. She has 2 kids, and she's married to a doctor, and she used to work as a fashion consultant. She compared herself to like Devil Wears Prada. So she seems sweet. She's kind of annoying. I do kind of get frenemy vibes with her and Toya, because we end up finding out they became friends because they met through Toya's builder of her house. So Anila's getting a house built, and that's how they became friends. Excuse me, y'all. Toya basically introduced her to everybody on at the, like, I guess in the community. She got Anila a part of the tennis club. They did December together. So they seem to be like chill, but like it was the way in which she was describing how lucky Toya's house was to be done, because I guess they finished doing her house before COVID. So I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, you know, but I don't know. I just got vibes that she gonna be a little, that friendship ain't gonna last that long. This is what I'm getting. Sorry, y'all. But she seems cool. So the episode actually kind of ends with Simone's family. So it is Michael's graduation party. Unfortunately, he couldn't have a house party like he wanted, but I was glad he got to graduate. I was so happy because a lot of people missed their graduation. I know when all of this happened, a lot of people just did not get to have a graduation. And although I got sick of my high school graduation because like because of my last name, y'all, ooh, I was 7th to last out of 650 students. And my sister was 10th to last out of 700 and something students when she graduated. So just think of being in Northern Virginia in the middle of June, waiting, which is like, it was so hot in that pavilion. Yo, I was just like, let me walk across the stage so I can go home. All I wanted to do was drink some water. Ooh. But I was glad he got to experience graduating, because I know some people weren't allowed to experience that. It also sucks that like a lot of them didn't get a prom. Some didn't get to go to homecoming. I was just like, dang. And senior year is like fun for most people. Like, I know my senior year was lit for me. Like, it was fun to me. Like, we went to Hershey Park for our senior trip. We had like our spirit days was crazy. It's just like, I feel so bad that they didn't get, a lot of the high school kids didn't get to experience that. I'm really hoping that come next year, like when with the vaccines and everything like that, that people, like the kids can enjoy high school more. And I hope freshmen like in college can also enjoy, because I know this has to be a sucky year because they can't do what we did our freshman year. But I just hope things get better for everybody, because it sucks that a lot of people weren't able to experience what they wanted to experience in their final years of like high school and even college, or the first years of school. But they're basically having like a little bonfire, because that's coming up. Sorry. They're having like basically a block party barbecue in the parking lot of Simone's office. The food looked good. The food looked real good. I even saw they had an ice cream truck. But it was cute seeing Simone and Cecil reminisce. Simone always been about her money. While she was in school, she was a barmaid, out here dating dudes with BMWs, and then Cecil caught her. But it was cute that they were having that interaction. And it's also cool that we got to see Michael grow up. We finally got to see Miles. He looks nice too. I wish they would have said what he's doing, because we don't know if Miles is still in college or not. Hopefully he's if he's not in college, he got him a good job, or he going to trade school. But he need to get it together if he not gotten together. Unfortunately, Simone didn't invite Jackie. I know some people were saying that it was wrong that Simone didn't invite Jackie, but I'm kind of iffy on that. Yes, I think she should have invited Jackie because of Jackie's connection with Michael. But also, I've learned that graduation is a milestone for your family. Like, yes, it's a milestone for you because you reached such an accomplishment, but it's also for your family as a celebration of you, basically. Like, all the things they've been through. Like, Simone was reminiscing about how Michael used to be so quiet and didn't want to talk, to now blossoming into a social butterfly and kicking it with people and just having such a, like, just being a good kid. So it is just a celebration of life. So I don't think Simone wanted to have Jackie there and have that awkwardness. And she has that right too. That's her kid. I know some people's like, no, she shouldn't have invited Jackie. But I'm like, Jackie's not related to her. And it kind of sucks though, because we didn't end up finding out that Jackie birthed Michael. Like, she pulled Michael out of Simone's vagina. So I understand the connection. But at this point, if we're not on good terms, I'm not inviting you to a family function. Because I don't want to deal with that. Like, I wouldn't want to deal with that. If we not cool like that, we not cool like that. But it is what they really do need to get back together. Because the fact that, like, that lady been in your vagina, I feel like y'all should be on a whole different level of friendship, in my opinion. And especially if it's like, we're not intimate. But, like, she been between your legs, Simone. You might as well forgive her. But everybody shows up. Eugene shows up. I like the fact that he was so proud of Michael. I think a lot of us need that. We need other people in our community to big up us who are not a part of our families. Then we saw Miles over there talking to Toya's nanny. And I was glad Toya was not one of them, like, women who are, like, mean to the nannies because she's pretty. But Miles was really macking to her. And they was really they was kicking it. So I was like, oh, that's cute. That's cute. It really just reminded me of, like, a family barbecue. I just thought it was cool. I thought it was sweet and cool. So we round off to the end. I will say Curtis and Jackie talked, and they said, and Curtis made a good point. He was like, one of y'all is going to have to give in and just bite the bullet and call each other to make amends. But we end up seeing Simone head over to Heavenly's house, and they talk. And it was funny because, like, the animals, but they talk, and I was like, Heavenly got a husky. Y'all, I do not like huskies. They are some of the worst patients to, like, animals to deal with when working at a vet clinic. They are obnoxious and aggy AF, y'all. I judge people that have huskies because the people that have huskies always have similar traits, and they're normally not good traits. But I like Dr. Heavenly to a certain extent, so I'm gonna let it go. But they end up talking. And then I think this meeting was so important, and I'm glad that they talked. Because Simone basically said, like, it hurt, and then Heavenly explained why she went so low. So if y'all remember when Mariah told Dr. Heavenly, like, she had receipts on Damon that he was cheating, well, Heavenly felt like Simone sided with Mariah. So when she was arguing with Cecil, she thought Cecil was Simone. So that's why she was going at it. And Heavenly even said, I have pent up, I am probably harbored onto it. Well, Heavenly apologized. Simone kind of apologized. And then she asked, like, so how is Jackie? And she said Jackie's good, but Heavenly was like, we got to get the Golden Girls back together. And Simone says, you know what? I'll call her. So hopefully she does call her so they can have a serious talk. But then the episode ends because the husky brings a dead baby squirrel. Because that wasn't like a live squirrel. That was a dead baby squirrel. Because, like, it was too small to be a squirrel. Because normally if he would have brung like a dead squirrel, the squirrel probably would have been hanging out his mouth, out his mouth. But it was like a baby squirrel. But I'd have freaked out too because them things carry rabies and other bacterial and zoonotic diseases. But I think this episode was okay. It was cute for what it was. I done talked for almost 30 minutes. I hope you enjoyed it. But thanks for stopping by. Like I said, it was cute for what it was. I've been talking for too long. But I hope next episode is cool. We're going to see Contessa go off on Toya. More of the same stuff. But I hope you enjoyed this review. Please drop in the comments below. And be bravely authentic. Have a nice day. Deuces. I gotta figure out how to work this, y'all.